Good day, good friends. Russian strength. Just listen to Judge Napolito with Scott Ritter. A pretty damn good analysis, as usual, from Scott Ritter. A few points he's missing here or there, but that comes from still being in the U.S. But overall, very good. Good review on the mobilization and how things are going. Now, I know I watch Western media. That's one of those little things that we're closed off and we have no access to the West. Yeah, we can still get on the internet. We've still got Western media on our cable news and Chinese and Iranian and Al Jazeera and forget everybody else. We have CNN. We have Sky. We have BBC. I think BBC is getting blocked because they blocked RT. We have Deutsche Welle. We have Euronews. We have Press TV, which is Iranian. We have Chinese, various Chinese news. We have Al Jazeera. We've got everybody. And depending where you're living in Russia, because Russia has over 700 independent channels. Most of them are local channels, true. There's a set of government-owned channels like The Culture, Russia 24, Russia 1. But even they're owned, but they're pseudo-owned government entities because they're partially traded on the markets, and they have a lot of leeway to begin with. So you get a lot of news, different news from Chinese, from the Japanese if you're on the East Coast, and and South Koreans. So tons of stuff. Plus the internet. Yes, Facebook is officially blocked. VPNs are not blocked in Russia, and they're not illegal. So you can use a VPN to go on Facebook. The reason Facebook is blocked is Mr. Zuckerberg has no problems with calling for the mass murder of Russian civilians on Facebook. Yeah, that's one of those neoliberal qualities. We're all for human rights. As long as those human rights belong to the people that think just like us or answer to us, everybody else can go bugger off and die somewhere. Or we'll help them get killed by calling for their murder. The typical neoliberalism, fascism. Well, not Nazism. It's not even fascism. It's Nazism. So, by the way, this is something I bought the other day. It's a frozen meal, or wok with chicken. Pretty good. Cost me about $2 in American terms. It was on a 30% discount, too, so it was a pretty damn good deal. Excuse me while I eat. I speak with you. Very busy today on projects. So the point that I want to get is we know what's going on. We've got access to lots of media. And the average Russian is probably much more well-informed than anything in the West. I mean, just a quick rundown. Germany, 3 years, up to 3 years imprisonment and confiscation of financial accounts for reporting against the official party line. There's a German independent journalist in Donetsk who's now facing, they even froze her father's account, which, yeah, that's democracy. Czech Republic, up to 3 years imprisonment for criticizing NATO. You don't have to be pro-Russia. You just say NATO costs too much, or they ran over my field with their tanks and they didn't pay me compensation. Up to 3 years imprisonment in Czech. And more democracy. And so on and so on. Most of Europe is like that. And America, in lots of ways, controls what people say. You want the FBI to show up? Yeah, go ahead. Open your mouth. When I lived in the U.S., if you haven't figured out from my accent, I did live in the U.S. And by the way, I served in the U.S. too, 11 years in the U.S. Army and Army Reserves. So I do know a few things about what's going on and all around in the state of affairs. So, we had this guy, George, in our Orthodox, in the Greek Orthodox church that we went to. And George was a pilot for the Flying Tigers. If you don't know what the Flying Tigers are, go look it up. World War II. They were fighting the Japanese while America was still supplying Japan. There were a aviation circus, an American aviation circus that was in China, flying circus stunts. And when the Japanese attacked China with full American support and full American backing, remember, America started its embargo on China, sanctioned China for the Nanking massacre, genocide, about 2.5 years after the Nanking genocide. And in between that, just to keep things in perspective, the Soviet-Chinese War happened in 1939. where we broke the Soviet-Japanese War happened in 1939, where we broke the Japanese back, took out an army of almost 100,000. And the Japanese figured, no, we're not going to go into Mongolia, because that's what they were trying to do. And we're definitely not going to go to Siberia. Probably a bad idea. We lost badly, got our teeth beaten in hardly by General Zhukov. We'll go south. Well, when they decided to go south, that was no longer a tool for DC. So let's go sanction Japan. Is that being cynical? Well, how about the fact that in 1941, at the beginning of the war, the Soviet Union had a large force in the Caucasus. Why did we have a large force in the Caucasus? Because Chamberlain, who declared peace in our time and kissed up to Hitler and Mussolini at every chance he had, was trying to convince the Turks to invade into Southwest Soviet Union. 1941, he was still trying to do that. That's when Britain was officially already at war with Germany because of Poland. Just to keep things in perspective. And Chamberlain was never kicked out. He left because of health issues. So, we won't fight Hitler, and all that. So, just keeping things in perspective. So, anyways, back to going slightly back on theme. So, I'm watching. We got all the news media here. So, we're watching what they're saying about the mobilization. Begin with most of my friends are in the mobilization target zone. The Russian government is mobilizing 1% of the population, of the military age registered population, reserve. The reserve is 25 million people. If you put everybody that can be under arms, you're looking at about 45, 50 million. But the military age registered reserve is 25 million. There's three categories. Category number one is people that just got out of the military, and have combat experience. Syria, Ukraine. Older brother of one of my daughter's friends, he just got out after fighting in Ukraine, and 2 months later, and he's being shipped back out because he just got mobilized. That sucks, but it happens. That's part of life. Second mobilization is veterans without combat service. And third is older officers, 45 to 55 years of age for majors through lieutenants, or lieutenants through majors, lieutenant colonels through major generals up to 60 years of age, and generals and the rest of the general ranks up to 70 years of age, or 65, somewhere around there. I fall into the third category, so yes, most of my friends are in those categories. Those aren't already there. And myself, reality is I was an officer. I'm registered as an officer here, so if it comes down to it, okay, yeah. My wife's not thrilled. Women rarely are with this for good reasons. There's tons of videos I've posted in my Telegram channel that again reposted of what mobilization really looks like. In Dagestan, they're dancing Lizeka, which is a national dance in the Caucasus before mobilization, crowds cheering guys on. Sure, there are protests. There were protests. There are protests. But the interesting is the majority of those protesting don't fall into any of those categories. They're the liberal reserve of the West that are living here. Anywhere between 5-6% of the population are very Western liberal. And those are they're running. Run, by all means. No country in the world has got rid of its fifth column so quickly and so peacefully as we did over the last 6 months. And most of them running to you. They ran into Georgia. A lot of them ran into Georgia. Georgians despised them for the most part because the Georgians have their bones to pick with us over geopolitics and other things. I'll give them that. They have their issues. We have our issues. But we have trade, and we have basically peaceful relations ever since Saakashvili was pushed out. Not everything's hunky-dory, but the Georgians are an Orthodox conservative, Christian Orthodox conservative people. And the liberals are Western liberals. Gay rights, pride parades, do anything you want to do because, you as an individual are a demigod over everybody's other's opinion, and you can show your opinion in their face all you want. That kind of crowd. Well, Americans are very familiar with those people. They're the ones that are screaming for the MAGA Republicans to all be murdered and die. Yeah, those people. And we have those types too. So they flooded into Georgia because Georgia is anti-Russian, but for its own reasons, even though the relationship with Georgia and trade is booming. And the Georgians are sick and tired of the liberalism because this flood of Russian liberals came in and are trying to set up their own way of doing things amongst the conservative Georgians. So by all means, like I said, many of them are flooding into Western Europe and America. By all means, have them. Have all of those liberals. We'll live more peacefully here and breathe cleaner air. But, okay, to each his own. So, other than that, nobody I know has panicked. Nobody I know has ran. Nobody I know, even I have some liberal relatives and know some liberal, none of them have ran. So it's, as usual, the West is taking demonstrations of, the demonstration in Moscow had up to 1,500 demonstrators. In a city that has an official population of about 12 million and a realistic population around 16, 17 million. Because Russians are registered in other cities but move to Moscow and don't re-register, they're considered to still be living in other cities, even though they may be renting here or what have you. So, the population is much bigger than what the official records show, the realistic population, plus migrants and so on. So, again, you have this kind of situation. Nobody's panicking. A lot of guys don't want to go, particularly because they've been living a comfortable civilian life for many years or decades. But if you ask them, well, if I have to go, I go. Our wives aren't happy. Women rarely are in these kinds of things, understandably. Good thing is anybody getting mobilized is going on a contract status. So it's not a conscript pay. It's a contract soldier's pay, all officers are always contract. Contract pay, contract benefits, contract pension. And payment, full medical compensation if you're injured. So, and there's a payout for a family if you die. So, yeah, there's, like I said, no panic. And if my notice comes, I'll go. I've got no issues with it. None issues. I don't really like sitting here watching everyone. My friends leave, so, and my wife doesn't want to hear this. This is my motherland. I'll defend it with my life. And that's what most Russians are like. And whether they're Rusichi, which is the Slavic Russian, actually Russian nationality, Rusichi, or their various nationalities that are called the Russian people. Chechens, various Dagestanis. There are 300 different sub-ethnic groups in Dagestan. So they're called Dagestanis because of the territory, the province, but there's lots of different ethnicities. We have over 180 ethnicities in Russia that are local to Russia. So when the idiotic Western meat puppets for the deep state start calling Russia a Nazi state. Okay, yeah, Nazi. Let's see. Well, fascism is a form of Marxism, a socialist economic, national socialism. What was the Nazi Party and the National Socialist Workers' Party? Okay, so fascism is one thing. Then the Germans created Nazism, added a racial tone on it, racial superiority. Okay. Yes, Russians are 82% of the population. We have 180 other ethnic groups. Generals, colonels, admirals, senators, or members of parliament, judges. Yeah, most people are intermarried. I mean, I'm mixed. My wife's mixed. Everybody around here is mixed. And we're in a ethnically more Russian area, Moscow, Western Russia. So when these idiots start screaming that, oh, they're Nazis, really? That's why everybody has mixed blood, because nobody cares. The crap with mixed marriages that in the U.S. has just now started becoming acceptable over the last 20 years. Oh, for God's sakes, nobody gave a damn. It's not my duty to climb into somebody's bed and ask, hey, what nationality are you and what nationality is your wife? Nobody cares. There are black African students walking around here, and many of them become citizens, and many of them are serving in the military that have white wives, and vice versa, black African women that have white husbands. And nobody cares. About a fourth of the population has Asiatic blood, Oriental blood, either directly, fully, or mixed. And again, nobody cares. Hey, the Minister of Defense, Shoigu, is a Buddhist. In an Orthodox country, yeah, nobody cares. That's right. That's the whole point. We are a melting pot. We don't make noises that we can claim we're a melting pot while everything's based on racial politics like in the U.S. or in the U.K. Well, France doesn't even make a claim that they're a melting pot. For God's sakes, they set up ghettos all around Paris to drop off all the unacceptables that they brought in for work. We don't do that. We don't. I have a neighbor who's Kazakhstani, and his wife is Mongolian, and I don't care. What does it matter? I have another neighbor, well, he's German. Actually, I'm part German. I got another neighbor who's German. He was born here, went to Germany, immigrated with his parents, just what happened with me. And then he came back. He saw the truth. He came back. He's got a wife who's Ukrainian, which are Russians anyways. But yeah, wow. Again, nobody cares. I got two Turkish neighbors over here. With one's divorced, the other one's got a Russian wife. They got Russian Turkish kids. Again, nobody cares. So what? I know I'm friends with a black guy who's a chef here, and he's got a Russian wife. Again, nobody cares. We count the person. We don't give a damn about the skin color, because you know what? God doesn't count your skin color. He made you the way he made you, but you make the soul that's in you. That's what counts. And on the next one, we'll talk about the Orthodox faith in Russia and religion in Russia in general. But yes, everybody's intermixed. I got a neighbor over here. His wife, he's Russian. His wife is Bulgar. Volga Bulgars, Tartars. Volga Tartars sometimes they're called, but they're really Volga Bulgars. Who are somewhere between European and Asiatic, except she's blonde because they're intermixed. And again, nobody cares. Another neighbor, he's from the Caucasus. He's Russian. His wife is Armenian. My wife is part Georgian, part Armenian. Part Russian. Nobody cares. That's the whole point. So everything your media is telling you is just absolute lies. I mean, it's just mind-boggling lies. Russia is nothing. You just take 99% of what you're told, and that's just a lie. And 1%, take it with a big chunk of salt. Not a grain, big chunk of salt. That's about how it is with the West. And it's been that way. It's nothing new. I mean, it's been that way for hundreds of years. When the English discovered Russia, because we didn't know we were lost, the English discovered Russia in Arkhangelsk. They were up in Arkhangelsk. They got to Arkhangelsk, they decided not to do their trade, which they applied their main trade, which is taking blonde slaves for the Turks, because Arkhangelsk was a fortress and had lots of cannons. So the English decided, let's see, open relations and trade. And then they instantly started spreading lies about us. They've been doing that for the last 500 years. And let's review the differences between us barbarians and the enlightened West. There's a statement in the 7, 8, 900s. There was a social question, what to do with a dirty person. In the West, they created perfume. In the East, we have banyas, or bathhouses. That's right. Two very different approaches to the same question. While in the West, they had shit houses that were literally cobbled onto a stone building that you opened up the lid on that seat and it just was open to the street below, or they threw out their night soil, as they called it, onto the streets. We had, and still some places have, the original running sewage that was made out of trees. That's right. You take a northern pine tree, which are very tight rings. It's a hardwood, really, because the winters are hard. You take two of them, one bigger, one smaller. You drill them through. You cut them in half. You drill the middle open. You put them back together, and you do the same thing with the other one at a different angle, and you have a double pipe. And then put some tar on it on the outside, and you have a pipe. And we had running sewage, so we didn't throw our crap, literally crap, out of the window and onto the streets where people are walking. That's because we're barbarians. We're not enlightened like the West. We had schools at Vladimir Krasnosonce and partially to help convert the pagan population. They built the Orthodox monks that he brought in, built schools. This is the 900s. The pagans even had a death ceremony for their children, particularly noble children, that went off to these schools because they considered they were dying because they were going to go learn how to read and things like that, get educated. So yes, we had writing and reading. While easy example, Anya Yaroslavovna, the daughter of Yaroslav Mudry, Yaroslav the Wise, she married the King of France. We're talking 1100s. She signed her contract, marriage contract, because she could read and write. The King of France put an X because only the monks could read and write in Western Europe. You had 3 books. You were considered a great library. We had printing press. Well, we didn't have printing presses. We had monks writing. We didn't have so much paper. Didn't come around yet, but bark. The bark off of birch trees was used. So birch trees grow like weeds. Literally, like weeds. 5 years I'll have a half-grown birch tree. So 4 birch tree forests all over the place, and you take the bark off, cure it, and it becomes just like paper. A little harder, but it's much cheaper than parchment, which was animal hides, cured animal hides. So we have diaries from the average shopkeepers from places like Kiev and Smolensk and Moscow and places like that. So there's no issues there. So people can sit there and see the difference between us barbarians and the enlightened West. What the West learned really well was how to BS, and it's still doing it today. So again, I challenge you, go look at reality. Go see how we really live. By the way, anybody who wants to come here as a tourist, it's still easy. We didn't ban tourism here. The West banned us from coming. Oh, okay. So $22 billion, I think, is what euros is what they counted up for Europe. It's going to lose from Russian tourism. By all means, most of that money will stay inside Russia and Russian internal tourism. And by the way, if you want to come, it's still easy. It takes about 2 weeks to get your visa to Russia. And starting next year, they're going to have electronic visas. Which for most of Europe is going to make coming here much, much easier. So, and there's always the options of immigration. One of the new options for direct Russian citizenship is 1 year military service, under contract, of course, for foreigners. Don't worry, you don't speak Russian. They'll teach you enough, and you'll pick up the rest. And after 1 year, you and your family get citizenship. So, pretty damn good deal. Better than what the U.S. has. Because in the U.S., it's still 5 years you have to serve to apply for citizenship if you're a foreigner. There's quite a few Hispanics doing that. There always have been. Russia's 1 year. So anyways, if you have questions, by all means, leave some comments. Ideas for videos you'd like me to do, or topics you'd like for me to discuss. I'll be happy to oblige. God bless.